Okay, what is going on, guys? It is the Dev King. As if by default that script had print hello world in it. Now it printed hello world into the output.
Scripting is hard, and if you're a beginner, that's the most difficult part, getting started. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I did to start and all the steps I took. So of course, like every other beginner, I watched a bunch of tutorials trying to absorb as much info as I can. But this was bad. Trying to learn as much as you can without doing anything is not the way to go. So I watched the Dev King's beginner series, and after each video I watched, I made something with what I learned. For example, if statements, for loops, and many other things. This was one of the first places I made, where I experimented a lot. After doing this, I messed around trying to make basic simulator mechanics and spawning stuff. I then tried making an infinite obby, and this idea led to me and my friend's first ever proper game, Roblox, a game we started working on in my second week of scripting. If you haven't seen it, I'll talk more about it later on. But anyways, my first ever completed game was Mining Simulator, which I later remade and improved. Here's what the game had. So you just mine rocks and sell them. There were no effects, no audio, or proper models. But at least I learned about leader stats and how to spawn stuff. Now moving on to week 2, I pretty much learned everything about tweening, lerping, basically things to do with animating. I made these two animations, a backflip, and this attack animation. Now remember that infinite obby I was trying to make earlier? I came back to it and turned it into this infinite runner where you had to dodge obstacles and outrun the moving wall. By this point, my skills had improved a decent amount, and I could make simple things work by myself, without videos. So now I started working on random things and just learning, like this farming system that also saves your data, this doodle jump ripoff, which actually sort of worked, of course, and this reverse tower defense game, where you play as the enemy. I'm actually thinking of coming back to this idea because it seems really fun and unique. At some point around this time, I watched the advanced series and did the same thing as before, making things with what I learned. I also focused on making YouTube videos, and I even remade Doors, which is my most popular video on my previous channel with over 120,000 views. I remade Doors Floor 2 as well, since the first video did so well, and I learned a lot. So here, all my games I was making were for my videos. After making the Doors game, I remade my first game Rock Miner, and I improved a lot of things. I even added planes with bombs, and people actually played this game and they got on the leaderboard. Now before moving on, let me show you the game I made with my friend, Roblox. So the game had really bad code, but it worked. And we had gambling, trail crates with an opening animation, donations, and power-ups. So this was a runner game where you're being chased by a ghost and you had to run across these different maps that we had, like the road map or construction. You could also use power-ups to help you. Now the game didn't really get many players, but we did make some Robux which helped us to advertise it. If you want to know more about Roblox ads, you can watch my video linked below. So anyways, I made an extremely small obby for a video, but it didn't really teach me anything because, well, it's an obby. Next, I made Blox Fruits. Well, sort of. I had the fighting system at least. This was supposed to be a video, but I didn't end up making it, so I didn't continue the game. At the time, Squid Game's new season came out, and I remade the Mingle game from the series, which had this wheel that turned around, and once the music stops, you have to get in a room with a certain number of people, or else you would die. And I actually managed to make some Robux out of this game. After that, I made a short series on a farming game that I worked on. I had 3 different weapons, a sickle, a boomerang, and a duck sickle. So I worked on a farming system where you could break the crops, an inventory system for whenever you picked up new crops, and you could go over to the shopkeeper and talk to him to sell all your crops. I'm not sure if I'll continue working on this game, but I'll try to in the future. Now recently, me and my friend have been working on a road trip type game. So in this game, you're going to find these different parts that you use to build a vehicle. We also have a rarity system, so some parts are harder to find than others. And they're gonna spawn in buildings, which I'll show later on. And we also have turrets. So let me build a quick car to show you. We have blocks like engines, different sized wheels, springs, and a lot more. So here's what the finished car looks like. But obviously there's like millions of cars that you can build with this variety of different blocks. But I just made a quick example to show you what the game is like. And my friend here is sitting on the turret while the car is driving. Yes, you can do that. So recently we've been working on the map, and this is what we have so far. We also have these buildings that randomly spawn, and that's where you're gonna find the items. But of course, you can probably tell that this isn't a building, because we're still working on it. So aside from a bunch of small random things that I made, this is pretty much all I learned. And if you want to see the development of this game, subscribe and stay tuned. Bye!